Victor, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Are you excited?
I'm super excited to be here. I don't know why, but I'm excited to be here.
Hey, so I was trying to get here last night, right? I was trying to come out of Cleveland. I was delayed like crazy.
Okay.
For like 6 hours, and I finally got on a plane. It was late.
What were the delays, by the way?
Snow,
Snow?
the
Okay.
snow, like feet of snow.
Gotcha.
But it was more the plane getting out of Atlanta to come here to come get me back, right? So it was delayed down here. But while I was there sitting on the plane, I plugged in the TV, and the Saturday Night Live
50th anniversary of
show
SNL.
was on. So
Yeah.
that's where the chat comment comes in.
All
So
right.
in the chat, post your favorite skit or your favorite musical performance ever from Saturday Night Live. So jump that in there.
Do you remember the King Tut one?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Steve Martin
Absolutely.
is the best. I
I mean,
love that one.
some of the incredible. And then the one I put in there is one I got in trouble with by playing one time. And the Glenn Ross movie, the all-time
Yeah.
sales movie where they cuss and say, just phenomenal cast though. I mean,
Yep.
just superstars, like Oscar winners all through it. Pacino, Jack Lemmon, I mean, all these guys.
It's a great movie.
But Alec Baldwin, and he's the main player in the in the sales meeting. He did a deal with Santa's Workshop where he was going in and they mimicked the whole sales meeting from Glenn Ross
In Santa's
with
Workshop.
with the elves, and it
did it go
hysterical.
well?
Oh, I got in trouble for playing it in a meeting, but yeah, check that out if you haven't.
Let me see.
So
So-
we got Tom Hanks, Jeopardy. Yeah, we got a bunch of that.
I never heard of this one that Jose put in. Jose Sanchez puts in Don Draper Mad Men skit.
I don't remember
I
that
don't
one
think I've
either.
ever seen that one. I
Yeah.
might have to check that one
I
out.
mean, I used to watch the stuff in the 70s,
Yeah.
80s and stuff.
Wayne's World. There's a Chris
Matt
Farley.
Foley. There's Mark McConnell.
Yeah.
That's another good one.
I like with him and who's he got? Patrick Swayze. They did the Chippendale thing. I
Yeah,
love that,
was,
man.
That was pretty bad. Anybody
Yeah.
else? Belushi's Samurai. There you go, Ben Dietz.
Dude, that's classic right there, man. That's classic right there.
Anything Eddie Murphy, isn't that the truth?
Just about
I
every
think he
commercial.
was on the show last night, the part I was watching. I wasn't paying that
What is
close
the one that
attention.
with Jeopardy that they always have like Sean Connery?
Yeah.
And he's always messing up the words. Or something. I love that.
Yeah,
Anyway, but how was the? I didn't watch it, so how was it?
I caught like an hour and a half of it. Again, not paying close attention, but
Pretty
I
good?
thought it was pretty good.
Pretty good? Okay. All right,
It's
all right.
changed a lot over the years, but
Okay, Adam Sandler's Lunch Lady. Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, they talked about
Holy
her.
buckets.
They talked about her.
I forgot about that one.
Who you see out there?
All right. Oh, wait a minute. Jim Carrey is Fire Marshal Bill. You're right. That's a great one.
That's not from SNL. That's from.
In Living Color?
Yeah, that's
in
from
Living Color.
Yeah,
You're right.
Come on,
You're right.
Get your show right. Get your show right.
Who's that?
Who's out there? Mark McConnell smiling. Bergeron is back in the library. It looks like BB got a different hairdo. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
This whole Bergeron thing, it's like he looks like a Harry Potter instructor, I swear to you. You know what I mean?
He's always sporting that sweater vest.
Yeah.
Always sporting that.
Yeah.
Who else? Ben Johns is out there. I see Ben Johns.
Is it
Who
Mark
else?
McConnell?
Les Fogelman, Tony Braden.
Mark Ruiz just looks cool there, like, hey, what's
Oh,
happening?
there's our boy Roy.
I'm just awesome.
Our boy Roy from our boy Roy Allegato.
Roy Allegato.
There you go. We're gonna hear about him a little bit.
I look forward to meeting up with Roy next time.
Yeah.
I just want to talk to the guy.
I'm gonna see
Just have a-
Roy. I'm gonna see
Yeah.
Roy in a couple
Are
weeks. His butt will be in the Bahamas with his beautiful bride.
Oh, that's right. You got to get at the Bar Mar, right?
Yeah. You tell these guys about that you just.
By the way,
stated.
I was there-
Don't tell them how expensive it was.
Oh Lord. I
It's
was there.
expensive.
By the way, I didn't tell you. So I was there 2 weeks ago working, right? And Floyd Mayweather showed up.
Money Mayweather.
Money Mayweather. He's on the. He was renting a jet ski that has like a car body around it.
No surprise.
And so and he had his entourage and this bodyguard that was 9'11". That's how big he was. And anybody that got near him, it was like he was going to deck him. So, but by the way, for those of you going, yes.
Pretty top shelf.
By the way, I can say this: the level of people that are there, like the quality of people, because it's so expensive there. Everything's quiet. None of this, thoom, 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 while you're sitting by the pool. None of that. There's so many pools and hidden hot tubs everywhere that you can just really. I mean, it's a very zen place. You're gonna like it.
Awesome. I see
Yeah,
Justin Wirt. He's taking all that in as well.
Oh yeah.
Now, hey, and one more cool thing about President's Club, for the first time in like 15 years, Victor, all of our people, all the Orkin folks are going to be celebrated on the same night. Because we used to split the divisions up and mix them all up.
Why'd you do that?
What? Because there were too many people.
Oh, okay.
But they got a big enough room this time that all of I'm so stoked.
How many folks are going to be there?
I think there's total with guests like 800, 900. It's
a big crowd.
But I mean,
Big crowd.
I'm just super stoked that it's going to be all the Orkin folks together
That's
getting,
nice.
getting to celebrate together. So,
Nice.
Awesome.
Love
Not
it,
that I
man.
don't like the brands, but
Let's see who else is out there.
I'm an Orca man. Who else
Let
you
me
got
see.
out there?
I don't think I've ever seen Martin Magana, also known as the M&M Man.
There you go.
Just made that up, man.
What else?
Did it.
There's Russ Huffsey. There you go. What's happening, Russ? Jason Sager out of Michigan.
Heather
Sager,
Z's looking cool. I see you, Heather.
I'll let that go.
Yeah.
There's Stormy. Wait, Stormy's on camera this time.
Who let
Victor.
her on camera?
She didn't know that. So if you've never met Stormy, wave at her. There's KT, Kevin Tinsley. All right, Sean Rust is there from Ohio.
I don't think. By the way, Joe Algoza's not paying attention. He just doesn't care.
Uh-oh.
He just gets on the camera.
So let me see if I can get your attention out on the West Coast. So here's the deal.
Dude.
We ran this Super Bowl contest.
Yes, we did.
Last broadcast.
$500 for each person or something like that.
No. Easy. $500 was going to be given away.
Oh, my bad. All right.
So here's how it shook out. This was amazing. So we did it on the commercial broadcast, and we did it on both commercials and both residentials.
Okay.
We had like over 400 entries, almost 400 entries of people guessing who was going to win. And if you recall back when we did it, there were 8 teams left playing, right? So it was like before the quarterfinals or whatever it was. So there were 8 teams left playing. Almost 400 entries, only 9 people company-wide picked the Eagles.
Interesting.
There were 5 residential folks that picked the Eagles and 4 commercials. So today I'm going to announce the 5 winners for residential. And Victor, it's just, I don't know what they got going on out there in California, but they can pick them in football.
Yeah.
So Roy Elegado,
Oh, him again.
he wins $100.
Way to go, Roy.
Brandon Keene, I saw Brandon Keene. I'm probably screwing up your last name, brother. Correct it give me a phonetical pronunciation. Out of Fairfield, California, wins $100.
California in the house.
Marlon's iPhone, I had to figure that out, but I knew who it was. Marlon Alvarez, he's going to be in the Bahamas too.
Okay.
He wins $100. Out of Inglewood, California, Martin Campbell is another winner. And then the one outlier, the one person from not on the West Coast, was Odessa Midland, but we talked to them earlier. So just
By the way,
outstanding.
Brandon says Keeney.
Keeney. Okay,
Keeney.
cool. I got to catch up on the chat here so I can keep up.
Keeney?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Keeney.
We're closer to Vegas. That's how I don't know.
By the way, where's that name from? Keeney. Irish?
I don't know.
Maybe?
I don't know. So we're going to pay that off. How's that?
Yeah. Nice.
Want to jump into this and get after some sales?
Yep.
So I want to share January's results with you, right? So we're coming out of the gates. Pretty solid month. I mean, not spectacular, but a pretty solid month across the country. Okay. And I'll start with our residential pest control sales. Our residential pest control sales combined were up about 6.5% year over year versus last January. Just outstanding stuff going on there. The OC3, the call center, which sells probably 70% of it, was up 7.4% year over year. Here's the cool thing about our residential PC sales, kind of what happens on the termite side of the house. Our leads were double-digit decreases to last year. Our demand in January really fell off. We've been clicking along pretty good, October, November, December. But what happened out at the call center for the most part is these folks did more with less. They took a 10%, think about this, they took a 10% lead decrease. Less phone calls coming in, less emails coming in, and they turned it into a 7% increase. In any book, that's a win.
17%
17% flipping it, and they're really good with closure. The other thing that's happening too is that the Orkin pros are doing a phenomenal job getting the business started. Our start rate bumped up in January too, so it doesn't matter what you sell as long as you got to get it started, right? So those two things combined really turned in a great month for us to the tune of $17 million in residential PC sales.
Nice.
Here's the cool thing about that. What all those new residential PC sales do, feeds the troops, right? So we got all these folks, we got all these new customers that are just waiting for y'all to get out there and give them that free part of your service, whole home inspection.
Yes.
So you got all the
upsell opportunity.
I get in trouble for calling it like fresh meat, but in my mind, that's fresh meat. That's probably a better term. Is a better
chum. I would call it chum. You know, you throw chum,
there you
and
go.
the sharks come up. Yeah, I call it chum.
Let's flip to the termite side, which most of the HSIs on the call do here, and let's talk about that. Traditional termite, we had a bit of a blip. We were down 6% year over year across the country. There's some regions that really hit it, and some that didn't. But year over year, our traditional termite, our renewable drill it and fill it, is down 6% year over year. Our bait sales, good news here. You know, we ended the year last year. We ended at 24 with bait sales about 4% above last year. Come out of the gates in January with a 6% year over year increase in termite bait, putting those Centricon things in the ground. That stuff is sticky. We know that we win with that. So that's good news. The one that keeps ringing the bell, folks, is this ancillary. Our ancillary sales in January, company-wide, were up 25% year over year. Just outstanding. Continues to grow in those mid-20s to even pushing 30 some months through last year. So as that kind of settles in across the country, people are getting better at that. So I encourage you to jump all over those ancillary sales. Let's pick that game up on that renewable termite. We need those continuing recurring revenue reinspection fees that are coming in, the renewals. So keep after that. Total for the month of January, 13% year over year termite sales increase. Thank you. Outstanding.
Nice.
Really, really good.
Great numbers.
Again, $27.5 million in termite sales, and just killing it. We had kind of a so-so commercial month. We'll talk about that on Wednesday to those folks. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you sell. You got to convert it to profit. And boy, did we convert it to profit. Our revenues, Victor, for the month of January were 13.5%, company-wide again, 13.5% increase year over year. Some of that is that GCR that we got rolling, that contract revenue that's coming in that we sold last year that keeps paying. But again, just some great performances there. We made profit plan coming out of the gates. It's a great way to start January. Uncle Pat's really tickled, and things are going good. And if you missed the earnings call last week with Jerry Galoff and Ken Krause, they go live to Wall Street and take all these questions. We reported some phenomenal earnings for 2024 and the track record and the revenues, and everything was up and up and up and up and up. Okay. And you saw that impacted. I mean, stock markets closed today, but our stock went up to an all-time high, I think last Thursday when they made the announcement. And then it's like over $50 right now. So,
nice.
And most everybody on the call is a participant in the 401k. So just a great stock performance. Great January start. We wish we would have had a little bit more recurring termite. So let's kind of focus on that and let's right that ship. Fair enough.
Yeah, but it's almost amazing though that sometimes we forget. Even though it's a percentage of revenue, it's a larger piece of revenue.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Compared to last year. So even though, let's say, for example, it's 7.1 increase, that's a bigger number from what you had the previous years. It's an amazing number.
And again, the termite side of the house, it's been growing for the last 5-6 years, 7 years, really. I mean, just high double digits, just really clicking after it.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, when they made the announcement last week, $3.4 billion in revenue this company's at. And there's this vision that's pretty active right now that we're going to get. Jerry Galoh's vision at least is to grow this company to $5 billion by the end of 2027, and my gosh, it looks like we're on target for that. So
amazing.
And they claim that if we do that, the stock price will be $75. So that would be wonderful.
That would be wonderful.
That would be wonderful.
Ed goes,
everybody.
I could retire.
Well,
You're starting to dream about.
I'm going to retire either way, but we'll take it from there.
All right.
My rope here is not long. In addition, Victor, to all of those phenomenal.
Did you say my rope here is not long?
Yeah, my rope is not long. I'll be out of here before you blink. At least another year, so don't. Or maybe somebody's excited that I'm leaving, but I won't be here much longer than that. In addition to all those company-wide numbers, we had 21 of our folks ring the bell and get paid on $100,000 in the month of January, and we had 5 stellar performances by our OC3 agents. Should we roll the?
We should roll the video, but before we roll the video, I just want to highlight that I was not in favor of what they did to our caricatures in the video.
So hang on. So they sent me this. They sent me this video last week to approve it. I always go through to make sure that the numbers are right and we don't screw your names up. And God help me. But what they did was not fair.
The Cupids are wrong.
The Cupids that are going to show up in this video are little caricatures of Victor and I. And I'm not happy about the grays coming off the side of my head, so we'll let you guys be the judge.
Decide.
So roll the video, Stormy. Outstanding, huh?
Great numbers, by the way.
I don't know about that video, though. I am not happy with that. I look like a little skunk or something with that little gray on the side
I
of
look
my
a
head.
little too happy.
Yeah, you do look a little too happy.
happy.
No, man, how about that? I mean, Sean Wagner out of North Carolina.
Well done.
Yeah, perennial President's Club guy, RAC guy, and he was on the earlier broadcast, but put up $156,000. One of those deals was a big deal, big sale he made out on Bald Head Island down off the coast of North Carolina there.
Bald Head Island.
Bald Head Island.
Why do you look at me when you say that?
Well, I didn't think about that when I said that, but now you did that.
Yeah, Bald Head Island. I feel some insecurity there. Rodney Jones.
Back in the game.
West Coast back in the house.
Carson Ward, Dennis Lopez, bunch of these folks are going to President's Club. There's Marlon
Todd Mayer
just popping up there again.
We can't skip over the Minnesotan, for sure.
That's your boy up there, the Minnesotan guy, right?
Yeah.
Amen. I bet you.
Good stuff.
Nathan Grivet.
Roy Elagato.
There's Roy.
What happened to Roy?
What do you mean what happened to him?
Barely over 100,000. I know he's on here. Roy,
Victor, he's
game up, level up.
He's 21 of 1,000. There's just so you know, there's 1,000 HSIs
Roy, level
out
up,
there.
Roy.
Knock it off. He's going to come looking for you.
He got comfortable with that $100. He got comfortable with the $100.
Well, he wins $200. He got $100 for the thing, and he gets $100 for being on the list.
All right.
And Sean Wagner's getting $500.
I think I've come across him. We've hung out, I'm making this up, 5 times at least.
Yeah.
Not once has he bought me a drink. Just throwing that out there.
That's terrible.
Like, dude, win the money, share the love.
Who else you see on there?
Yeah. No, I can't see him.
Jason.
I can't see him, so he's probably like cursing.
Is he on there? What's wrong?
But great.
I wish
Matt Ketchum, Permatreat. Hassan's there again.
No, couple first-timers. Skylar Sanders out of Lawton, Oklahoma is a first-time winner. And Jeffrey Fentress, I probably screwed up your name, Jeffrey, is a first-time attendee. Bunch of continued. Hassan is going to be awarded, when we get down to the Bahamas down there, he's going to be the numero uno home sales inspector, the chairman of the Chairman's Club. He gets a plaque that's like this big.
Okay.
I mean, it's crazy.
Like Stanley Cup level.
Yeah, it's way big. And he gets a bunch of whole extra money. And
nice.
A bunch of these guys are Chairman's Club winners as well, so that'll be cool. And,
well done.
And again, everybody's together. One night, your dinner's Friday night, so make your plans there. So just outstanding.
And let's not forget the OC3.
We cannot forget the OC3.
Yes.
Look at those numbers.
Landon Martin, is that the first time we see him at the top of the leaderboard?
I believe it is.
$220,000
in the month of January.
Jeffrey Steele says something yes, so I assume that's the first time we've seen Landon.
There you go.
Finally, Landon gets on the board. What's he been doing up to this point? We don't know, but
he
he's on the board.
He might have just got hired. How can you talking like that?
Shannon McKay.
She was she was the top dog for him last year. And
they do a great job. I mean, it's amazing the numbers they pull in.
And again, I want to remind you, they had like a double-digit lead decrease. Yeah. More with less, I guess. That I can't make that.
By the way, Jeffrey Steele says first, yes, that this is Landon Martin's first time. And he also said he was a supervisor for us.
There you go. He finally got some sense about him and came back to the good side.
In other words, he got out of management where he did nothing, and he actually went to do something.
Oh, my God.
That's kind of what they're saying. Is that what you're saying?
Victor Antonio.
Victor will be off the air at this point. Yeah.
So we've been chatting about what we've been doing the last few weeks. Really, for me, the first 5 or 6 weeks so far of this year, traveling around to all these kickoff meetings.
Yeah.
And you had an experience last week. Tell the folks what you did last week.
Which experience was this?
When you went to Georgia.
Oh,
the Georgia kickoff.
Oh, by the way, I was invited by Mike Brewer. Thank you for the invitation, Mike, to hang out with the folks from Georgia over at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
That's where they did their kickoff meeting, which was super cool.
It was really cool, and then we got to do a team exercise with some big wheels. So I got to relive that childhood fantasy. It was fun. It was a good time. The group there was great, willing to learn, and there was a lot of energy in that room. It was great.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
A lot of people killing it.
Yeah, kind of the same experience for me. I think I've been to 9 already, and probably got another 10 on tap of these kickoff meetings, and I just love going to them. And
it does feel good. It almost especially at the beginning of the year, like in that room.
It's such a great day.
There was great energy.
Yeah. What I would suggest to the RSMs and the RMs as you do your kickoff meetings, I can't be at all of them, but when you do that, we're going to try to put like a big film, like a highlight reel together. And I just met with Aubrey. So if you've got pictures, you've got video, get it to me, and when we do the broadcast in March, we'll share that because there's just so much stuff going on. I was in Gulf States last week, and they opened up. They kind of use the shark theme. They're sharks. It's been the stickiest kind of moniker that I've seen a group take on. They've been the Sharks for 5 or 6 years. Don Spadali and Jamie down there, they just call themselves. They had shark paraphernalia everywhere, but they did a 45-second intro video where they had everybody sit in their seats. They killed all the lights. They had lasers going off. They had strobes going off. And it was really only a 45-second video. I was like, holy smokes, let's roll. So I mean, just the stuff that these guys and gals do out there to get these kickoff meetings ready, be it, picking a venue like that, or just the time and the energy that they put into these meetings is just incredible.
It was nice to see at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, with the team there. It was just the teamwork, the camaraderie, especially during the big wheel thing. It was really cool to see you just see the energy just rise up, collaboration. It was a good time. I should emphasize though, if I can just remind you guys out there that we have. A lot of people ask me at the Motor Speedway about the Sales Velocity Academy. Some didn't have access to it. Again, get with your manager, send Ed your emails, and you'll get access to the Sales Velocity Academy, which has over 70 courses and about 700 videos on how to sell more effectively to kick off the new year.
Yeah, amen. And I think part of what we want to talk about, Victor and I always talk about what we're going to do, right? And so based on what I've been doing over the past, like I said, I think 9 so far, just really observation. A lot of role play. A lot of folks are bringing in vendors, doing that kind of stuff. But I see a lot of role play, and I see a lot of us talking, right? And we're talking. And I think oftentimes, even in the conversations, when I get to these kickoffs, if they have something like an event the night before, I try to not work the room. That sounds terrible. Yeah. But I try to get out and say hello to everybody, right? And shake some hands and kiss babies, whatever you want to call it. But I come away with that saying, we're not really good listeners. And so I think a lot of these folks have heard me say it. I wish that I could cut all of our sales tongues out, that we couldn't talk anymore, right? That we would have to sell business based on a couple of things. What you demonstrate, what they physically see you do, what your iPad stuff looks like, all those kind of things, the effort you put into that, all that, not what you say. Right. It's never what you say. But the other thing I would say is if we cut our tongues out, we would have to be better listeners. Right. And you've done some perfect stuff. I mean, really good stuff on getting better as a listener. And I think it's good for all of us because I find myself checking myself all the time too, right? So let's talk a little bit. Let's spend some time diving into that. Maybe more important than what to say, it's how to listen, right? Talk about that.
Listening is hard. When you look at brain science, it's really fascinating how our brain works. First of all, let's talk about talking speed. The average human speaks at about 150 to 180 words per minute. So register that for a second. 150 to 180 words per minute. Yet our brain processes information at 300 to 500 words per minute. So you see the problem already, right? People are talking at a slower speed, but our brain is just racing ahead of us. We've all had that situation, Ed. I'm sure we've been there where we're like, hurry up. And you're almost like mentally not even listening anymore. You're just waiting to talk. And I think customers sense that. And the reality is we have to find a way to slow ourselves down and just listen more patiently.
And I think, from I'm riding with salespeople, I think, this is going to sound crazy, but I think our new people are better listeners. Like the new folks just getting out doing their first few proposals are better listeners than our veterans.
Why is that? I know why it is, but you say it.
I think it's because, I heard that before. I know what to say. You say, the customer says this, you're jumping to, I know how to close this. I know what to say. I know where to go now. Where the newer sales rep is like, what should I do? Does that make sense?
Because they're basically waiting. When you're new in sales, you're listening more because, first of all, you're trying to figure out how best to respond. Yeah. And so you're more attuned to just want to listen so you get the answer right, so to speak, or you respond correctly. What happens over time, study after study has shown this, when you become so comfortable, when you've heard so many conversations, you now start running ahead of the customer, predicting what they're going to say and almost saying, yeah. I mean, you don't say that out loud, right? But through your body language, facial expressions, you're kind of saying, get to the point. And customers can feel that. And by the way, they've done studies where salespeople, first 6-7 months, just start killing it. And after a certain period of time, it's called 9 months, you can see their performance drop, and it's usually because they stop listening and they're talking too much.
Yeah, talk about the importance of the customer recognizing that you're listening. Right. Give them a couple hacks for that too, right? Because they need to know that you're paying attention.
Yeah,
so talk a little bit about that.
So let's talk about listening because this is and by the way, we all struggle with that, present company included. And so 3 strategies you can use that I try to really implement. The first one is to parrot back what they've said. When you parrot back what somebody said, they know you're listening, they know you care. So when the customer says something, he goes, just to make sure I heard you right, this is what you said. That's one strategy. Parroting back allows the customer to go, he's listening. The second one is you might want to restate what they said. Instead of parroting back word for word, you run it through your brain processor. It goes, here's what I heard. And then again, wait for them to say yes. So in other words, Mr. Customer, based on what you've told me, A, B, C, is that correct? And they're going to say yes. And why is that important, Ed? Because you had a good statement on this.
Yeah, I think that's important, and it goes back to some of that Chris Voss stuff. You know,
Yep.
the hostage negotiator, getting the customer to say that's right.
Yeah.
Right. So you tee something back up. You know, I think what I hear you saying, Victor, is this, this, and this, and you want them to say that's right.
Yes.
Instead of asking them if that's correct. Right.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it just builds this mental momentum, but it's also called the rule of consistency. When I can get you to agree to certain things, you can't back out of that later on. So if I clarified that, hey, this is important to you, am I hearing you correctly? You say yes. Later on in the conversation, you can't say that that's not important because you already stated aloud that it is important.
Amen.
I want to throw the third strategy out there, and that's the pause.
Yeah, I love this one.
It's waiting for people just to finish talking. So in other words, when someone's talking, studies have shown that if you just pause, just let they finish talking, and if you just simply nod your head, they'll give you more information. In other words, by letting them talk more, on average 25% more information, if you just nod, don't say anything, you're basically saying to them, keep going, keep going. And what they're doing is giving you more information so you know how to sell them more effectively.
Yeah, and I think that pause is something that we want to give them the answer. If they ask a question, we want to immediately try to answer it, right?
Yes.
Because we got it here. We know what to say. But just that pause lets them think, well, he's really thinking about this.
Yeah.
He's really engaged in this conversation. I like that he's listening to me.
Yeah.
I like that he's listening to me.
You know what just triggered me? Because we have this like rule, like heuristic, a rule that we've written in our head that says, people who respond quickly know their stuff. It's like it's a rule that's written in our brain, right? Oh, he was quick-witted. Oh man, he was fast with that answer. And so we attribute that fastness, that quick-wittedness to intelligence, right? But in reality, when we're talking about sales, I think it's almost the opposite. The fact that you can say something to me and I can reflect on it. And I had a boss who did this, right? I would say something to him or explain something, and he would pause. And in that moment, I knew I've learned, he was absorbing what I was saying, reflecting on what I just said, and then here's your response, Victor.
Amen.
And I think when you do that with customers, they go, he's listening, but I mean he's really listening.
And that pause is really intended to potentially, like you said, extract more information, right?
Yes.
You know, if they say this, well,
Yeah.
pause.
Yes.
And the head nod, you know, I mean, if you're not incorporating that head nod all the time, I mean, and it's not to get a yes, it's not to get the head bobbing like
It's not that. It's
like,
not that.
like the doggy in the window, right? Yes, yes,
It's
yes,
like keep
yes,
going.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah, you get that because keep coming
Yeah.
at me, tell me.
And
tell me more.
Let's practice
Help
that.
me understand that.
When we go out to dinner, Ed, you've done this before. If you haven't, I've done this. When I go out to dinner and I challenge myself not to be the center of conversation. Because it's too easy for me to do that sometimes. And so my wife scolds me once in a while. She goes, why do you just keep asking people a lot of questions? And what I'm trying to do is, by not wanting to talk, it's a game I play. I don't want to talk. I want you to do all the talking. So I keep asking you questions. And she thinks it's interesting. My wife views this as annoying. But if you ask the person, they're loving it because they're giving me more content and I'm giving an opportunity to talk. So they're liking it. My wife says you're interrogating. I've said, no, I'm giving an opportunity to talk. Customers feel the same way. Ask them a lot of questions. Let them do most of the talking. They'll tell you how to sell them.
Completely off the subject, but kind of tied to it. We had one of our board members come into the leadership team was at this meeting.
Right.
We had one of our board members come in and speak to us, and he said, "How do I find?" He's like in the high-end search. His business was hiring executives.
Right.
And his line was, "Tell me your story." So as I'm traveling around to these kickoff meetings,
a good question.
instead of I just tell me a little bit about your story, and that just opens up the door so then they can talk. Because I think when you've had a wonderful conversation with somebody, when you walk away and say, "Man, I just had a great conversation with Victor."
Right.
I think if you analyze it, if there's some there's some cameras over top, you're
Right.
some AI listening to your
Yeah.
conversation, and you said, "Hey, who talked more?" If I come away with the feeling that I had a great conversation, I was probably talking more.
Yeah.
Because people want to talk about themselves.
Every
You know,
time.
and, and it's not that Toby Keith song. You can't say, "Okay, time out. I want to talk about me." You're the sales guy. You're the sales gal. It's not I want to talk about me. I want you to talk about you.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. Does that make any sense
No,
at
it
all?
makes great sense. When you let them talk, they feel good. As you pointed out, if you ever recall a great conversation, you were doing most of the talking.
Yeah.
They were just listening. You associated that good feeling with them. I think also, I want to hit this before we forget, is that I've learned, Ed, on virtual calls, to tell people I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where I was just writing down. And so what I do is I hold up my tablet, my Remarkable pad. I said, you don't mind if I take notes, do you? Because once you say that, what they now say is more censored in a good way.
Yeah.
Because they know you're taking notes.
Yeah.
And then I tie that back with the circle back feature, which is like, earlier on you mentioned, according to my notes here, because I look at my notes,
Bingo.
you mentioned this.
Bingo.
Is that still the case?
Yeah.
And just that is showing two things. One, I'm listening. Two, I'm writing it down, so I do care.
Yep.
And then when I can bring something back, they're like, oh my God, this guy's really listening and paying attention.
Think about that. As an HSI, when you hit that door, right, you start talking to him, right? What if he just paused and said, you mind if I take a few notes?
Yeah.
That signals to them what?
You're
That what they're
serious.
going to say is super important to you.
Yes.
And then you're taking notes.
It's that subtle.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many people don't do that.
And
when somebody walks around with their hands in their pocket, just looking around, just pointing at things, I'm like, dude, are you going to take notes? I've had that thought many times.
And you may have this photographic memory that you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
But it's just the act of doing
You're
it,
right.
the act of telling them
Great
you're going
point.
to do it that makes sense. So I'll share an insecurity because I'm all Brene Brown lately. I'm all vulnerable, right?
Right.
So I'll share some insecurity. When I get in front of these groups and I start talking, right?
Right.
I've done it 9 times so far. The audience is anywhere from 40 to 100, right? So you're sitting out there and I'm nervous as all get out all the time. I mean, I have fun. I don't come across that way, but at the end of the day, I look around the room because I tell them, put your phones away, put your laptops, turn your iPads off, just pay attention, right? But I look around and the ones I notice are the ones taking notes.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are going to be in my future audiences, my expectation is that two of you take some notes.
Take
so
notes
I
and make them
better,
feel less
so you get me
insecure.
over my insecurity.
Yeah.
So just think about how important that is.
Yeah.
Telling a customer you're going to take notes.
Right.
I mean, what else on this?
I think top of mind is that you're showing them you care. It's so easy, so obvious, but we don't do it.
Yeah.
And I have, like for me, I have ADHD bad.
Yeah.
So I have to write things down.
Yeah.
And so literally every time I do a meeting now, virtually especially, I'm taking notes because I just want to remind people. Everybody says to themselves, no, I'll remember. No, you won't.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Yeah. And I think when you tie it all together, you open this segment up with saying, listen, it's hard. I mean, you gotta work your tail off at it to listen. I mean, you almost need, you guys know my trigger. When I get out of the car, I pop my tie up and, I do this self-talk that I'm the greatest salesperson ever walking the planet. I'm going to go get my money, right? But at the end of the day, what if you reminded yourself, okay, I'm going in, I'm going to kill this thing. I'm going to do this thing perfect. But at the same time, I got to remember to listen.
Yeah.
I mean, some sort of trigger that, if you get to, sit on your hands, do something that gives you a trigger. Anything in the chat?
By the way, can I recommend the, like I use that Remarkable pad.
Yeah.
By the way, if you use the Remarkable pad, put that in the chat. That thing, the Remarkable pad, you can sync it up with your computer, and then you can export your notes as a PDF. Like I'm very visual, so I'm always drawing things, and then I can just export it and again sync it up to my computer. And I used to do a lot of note cards and stuff like that. Now I just use the Remarkable pad. It's like $300, but worth every penny.
Yeah, I haven't pulled the trigger. I've been showing it. I'm cheap, Richter. I'm cheap.
I tried using the regular iPad, and it has this like glassy feel. It doesn't feel natural. The Remarkable pad actually gives you a paper feel. And again, it's very comfortable, and the stuff that you can do there to organize your notes, it's pretty fancy, but very simple to use.
Cool. Awesome. Good recommendation.
Yep.
So anything else?
That's it.
I think we hit that pretty good.
Yes, we did.
We're pushing time. Let's get out into some housekeeping and get you out of here and get you back on the road. As soon as I can find my housekeeping notes, Victor.
Tim Chief says, I use my Apple Pencil with my notes
There you
app.
go. Very nice. Very nice. Housekeeping. So I always look at this time of year, depending on where you're at in the country, these little termites, they're going to fly out from somewhere. At some point in time, they're coming out of the ground, and they're going to make some noise, and they're going to make some phone calls into us. And what that creates in my mind, that swarm season, be it long, be it short, whatever it is, it creates what I call the red ocean, or what other people call the red ocean, to where now you're in competition with other competitors, and it's going to get bloody, and we're going to chop up, and we're all going to chase that one customer. But I think about this time of year, and I think about baseball, a baseball player from way back. The pitchers and catchers report to spring training. The major league teams are going to spend 60, 70 days getting ready for the season. I think it's that time. I think it's that time for us to sharpen our axe, get back in there, practice, get ready, make this your spring training so that when that bell rings and you got to go out there and go nose to nose with one of them Terminex folks giving business away, that you clean their clock, you punch them in the throat, and you cut their liver out, right? I mean, you just got to get after that. So as we make our way to this progression, if you're sitting in your branch right now in a meeting, start practicing. Practice your REC close. Practice, blocking the objections that come up that the price is too high. Get ahead of that now so that, as Victor says, you're not practicing with potential prospects, because that's a sin. Practice amongst yourselves. Practice amongst yourselves and get into that role play stuff. A lot of vendors are making their way around to these kickoff meetings, and I've seen a whole bunch of them. If you aren't sponging them up and catching them and wanting to understand, being crazy curious how these products really work. I saw that Jack, I forget his name, somebody put it in the chat, the guy that does all the exclusion products for us. The guy's a masterful presenter. He knows his stuff, he did it all. If he comes to one of your meetings and you're not sponging off of him, asking him questions, how does this work, how does that work? Get that knowledge. Take advantage of the time that the region leadership teams are doing at these kickoff meetings to put these vendors in front of you. They're the subject matter experts. Go to them, seek them out, do that. So I encourage you as you get in there. I'm an Orkin pest control customer in a couple of places. A bunch of Orkin emails have gone out over the last 2 weeks promoting the Orkin term. So, realize it's top of mind for your customers, 10% off. Get after it. When you're out there making your PC no TCs, doing your re-inspections, realize that one of those emails has hit them in their deal there. What else? I think that's, other than the President's Club, again, I already mentioned that. I got ahead of that, but I'm so stoked that everybody's going to be together. I mean, all of our people in one space at one time, celebrating together. Just super cool. Be safe. I'll see a whole bunch of y'all on this broadcast in the Bahamas. I am so looking forward to shaking hands with you and celebrating your success, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I want to add something.
Yeah.
If I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're struggling with your number, reach out to one of these folks that's on this list and see if you can get some help. Yeah. One of the things I noticed at the event with the Georgians, that I did is that, I had to encourage people, because there were certain people who were at this level, other people were at this level. Yeah. And I heard one guy say, well, I don't believe that this guy's hitting that number. And I'm like, well, why don't you go over there, ask him, let him prove it to you, and then figure out what he's doing instead of just saying, I don't believe it. Yeah. So if you're struggling with your number, pick up the phone, call somebody, because one of the things I've noticed, because I've talked on these podcasts we've done, folks are willing to help if you're willing to ask. Yeah, I agree with that. There's always somebody out there willing to help you if you're willing to work. And that's actually a quote from Randall Rollins. Many are willing to help if you're willing to work. And, absolutely. You put the work in. Don't let the Worth brothers sneak by you at your kickoff meeting, and the Roys and this whole crew and Marlins. Don't let them sneak by you without walking up, shaking their hand, telling them, man, how do you do what you do? And then tackle Roy, tackle Rodney, tackle them all. Yeah. Don't tackle them. Listen, Victor. Listen when they open their mouth. Okay. Listen. Fair enough? Tackle them and then listen. Okay. All right. Let's get out of here. See y'all. Thank you for everything. Appreciate you.